To start a business without money? It's quite a difficult question to answer. But yeah, talk to us why Centenary Banks started this initiative and where do you come from?
Thank you very much, Solomon, for this opportunity and for having me. True Centenary Bank has been running the youth program for about 5 years. We know very well that the recent stats place the people below 18 years at 54%. Of course, the youth in Centenary Bank are defined as those between the age of 18 to 35. And if you place the numbers, they are about 69% of the Ugandan population. That is a critical mass. If you look at the numbers in Centenary Bank, that is by way of account numbers, we have about 26% of that population banked by, that is based on the total number of customers at the bank. If you look at business, appreciate that over 70% never see to live or live to their second birthday. So many of them collapse. There are quite a number of challenges, and this conversation is very critical. How can you be able to start a business without financial resources? Let's not forget the unemployment rates in Uganda. We've already talked about the numbers of the youths in this country. We have a very young population, and most of them are unemployed. So the bank is focused towards seeing the youth get employment. They have a challenge of accessing investing resources. That is finance, that is capital. Whether it is equity capital or debt capital, there is that challenge. So it is also true that you can be able to start a business without financial resources. I'll just give a quick example. Because we've been doing the mentorship, the nurturing as a bank. We know we've come across people who have started online businesses, online shops. Somebody doesn't have any good in his shelf, but has been able to work with quite a number of dealers. They have run contracts and has an online shop. And the only investment in there is data that runs that online shop, and probably the transport that the guys that deliver the goods to the customers. It is all about getting the problem and the requisite solution. And there are quite a number of opportunities that the youth can harness. So today, we should be able to understand how can we be able to tap those opportunities, how can we be able to define that problem and get the requisite solutions to be able to get the right businesses and business opportunities and business ideas for our youths. So that is why we are here this morning, to be able to define that engagement, that solution for our youths. So that's why we're here this morning, and I do believe it will be value adding to all our youths. And by the end of the day, we should be able to get youths start businesses. That will be our reward as Centenary Bank.
You know what, there's a number of youth who are listening in and are saying, Michael, is it really possible, even amidst this COVID-19 pandemic, right now, lockdown, the economy coming down, you know, amidst the lockdown, financial challenges, and you're here convincing us that you can start a business without financial resources, Michael?
Yeah, it is possible. Like I said, if you could be able to define the problem, then the bank and all the other experts will support you in coming up with a solution. True, you can't be a jack of all trades. If it is about, say, transport, we know very well that today we have challenges around transport. Then you could probably run an app. And if you're not a tech person, then you will have to rely on the expertise of a tech person to do an app. Then rely with the people who have products like matatus or borders, and you'll be able to deliver. Just in this COVID period, I've seen one youth who started delivering foodstuffs, and it is working for him. He washes them very well. But of course, working with the market vendors no longer get people to buy their goods. So this youth has seen an opportunity during COVID that people are locked home. They are not able to receive their groceries. He's been able to write a plan for himself and picks the goods, delivers, and gets paid. So during the lockdown, he's actually making some money. And this is what we need to initiate. This is what we need to get the youth to understand, that there are quite a number of business ideas. And whenever there is a problem, there is certainly a solution. And if you could be able to craft that solution, then you have a business idea.
Yeah.
And again, you don't need to have money. You don't need to have resources behind you to be able to run.
Yeah. Michael, we'll be sharing with our youth later on in this conversation around like an example of business startups that the young people can start even during this lockdown. But let me invite CK Japeth, who is the team leader at the Innovations Village. CK, it's good to have you this morning, and you're speaking to an audience of over 200, 300 people who are watching you from all across the country, CK, pretty much who have, business ideas, and some of them don't have money. So the catch point for many of them to join this conversation is actually you can get started if you don't have money. And it sounds like it's a, far-fetched idea, and yet what Michael was telling us that this can be possible. CK, what is your story? Perhaps we want to hear your story and draw out key issues that can actually support the young people who are on this call to actually start their own businesses. CK Japeth, the team leader at the Innovations Village. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Solomon, and for having me on this call. It's a passionate conversation for me, working with young people in what we've successfully built with the support of partners in the Innovation Village. For those who do not know the Innovation Village, it is an innovation and entrepreneurship center where we work with young entrepreneurs like yourselves on the call every day to explore how we can support the business ideas they have to build the next big business, but to go on to employ other young people and to also contribute to the growth of our country. We are very passionate about contributing to the growth of the country. So my own story, Solomon, is a very interesting question, because I right now, if you look at the Innovation Village, we have centers in Gulu, in Jinja, in Barara, in Kampala, in Bugolobi, and in Tinda. And we employ over 100 staff, and also work with about 1,000 entrepreneurs every day. Last year, we created about 1,000 jobs during the pandemic. So my own story is the story of every other young person that is listening in here, in as far as what it takes to start a business. And that's why I took onto this path to explore how to support other young people to start businesses. From university with a bachelor's degree in economics, and I was very excited that I was going to conquer the world. But it took me 80 jobs to get my first job, 80 job applications, Solomon, to get my first job. So I remember the closest I came to a job was with office of one of the government agencies. I won't mention them, but we went to Nambole to do those aptitude tests, and I managed to be among the 5 people that came for the face-to-face interview. I didn't eventually get the job. It was taken up by someone else. And then I thought I could do more as a young person, but I had no means to what doing more is. I taught economics and entrepreneurship as a teacher. I didn't study to be a teacher, but that was my way of trying to find a way to build out what the Innovation Village is today. I taught for a period of about 2 years, and it was one of the best jobs I've ever done, because you're inspiring a whole nation of young people. And then one day, I think I noticed that, yes, I love to teach and I love to contribute to growth, but you cannot build a career of at the time a teacher's salary. So that's when I came into town. I met a friend of mine, and this is very important for those who don't have capital. Where do you start from? You'll be shocked. You need to start from the people even your classmates, even the people in your neighborhood. Because the job I got next, I was connected to by my classmate, who connected me to a job, and I worked there. And that job taught me everything I know now. And what I mean by that, Solomon, is that it taught me that the world revolves around solutions. If you don't have a solution, you do not you do not have a contribution to make. So identify big problems that you can solve and be the solution to those problems first, even before you start worrying about capital. So I did that job, and with the solution mindset, I was able to quickly get into Umeme, where I've seen one of the people who was there is listening. And in Umeme, I again focused on being solution focused, and looking out at what problems do we have and how can I solve them. But as a young person, and I'm happy that we have young people listening today, we always ambitious and we're looking to the bigger objective of what next. And for me, what was next after Umeme was finding a problem that was big enough for the country, a problem like unemployment, a problem like supporting entrepreneurs. Our entrepreneurs are creative. And that's what I decided to go to solve. I want to emphasize, Solomon, that it's possible. It takes time. It's very painful. But if you focus on identifying big problems that are faced within the communities, then you will begin to attract people who want to solve the same problems. So everything we've managed to do at the village was not my own money. It was money and support from other partners. And for me, that takes me to a concept of how I've successfully managed to build the business, which is OPM. OPM stands for other people's money, other people's management, other people's marketing. So my encouragement to a young person, and I'll get in deeper as we go into the conversation, is that, find a problem you care about, find a problem that is faced by millions of people. Don't worry about the capital first. Find the problem and then ask yourself, who else cares about this problem? The more you talk to people who care about the problem, the more you will begin to attract capital for you to begin building your business. And for me, that's the story of the Innovation Village and where we are so far. But I'll share more later, Solomon.
Sike, thank you for sharing. We'll get you back. Michael, share with us, what would you tell a young person watching you right now? What is it that they need to look out for that perhaps will encourage them to actually start a business? Let's talk about starting a business. What does it take?
Thank you very much, Solomon. Of course, in my experience, I've opened quite a number of businesses, but of course, I'll only touch the side hustles. Quite a number of youth listening in, I know, are employees, and they would one day want to run a side hustle.
Share with us your side hustle, Michael. How it all started, and because then people can learn from you, from your story.
Well, I do quite a number of side hustles, but since your question is about how do you identify, how do you start, then I'll probably approach it from that side. One, you need to look out for problems. You need to define the problem, you need to understand it, and the other bit is passion. And passion is hell-bent on talent, on what inspires you. If you can be able to do something with passion and make a loss, you will actually have learned. And that learning will be able to guide you as you progress. But again, moving back to the matter of starting a business, one, you need to do a plan, and a plan is very important. The plan starts with profiling that business. You need to understand what is it all about. What do you need to start? What resources would you kick in to be able to start? And how do you plan to progress, say, in the next 5 years? You need to scan the market. That is the market assessment. Look at the competitors. Look at the barriers of entry. Then how do you spin it? How do you pivot it to be able to bring in innovations, to kick in the right solutions that the consumer wants? Then you need to define that consumer, that client. Within the plan, you certainly have to do the financing plan, the marketing plan, the operating plan, and most importantly, you need to chart the way the leadership. Because again, the leadership of any business, of the business that you're doing, will certainly set pace for it to grow, to scale, or to dip, or to fail. So that is very important. And you know, for us who are in employment, many times you're not in the business. Say you have to get the right people to run it on your behalf. I'll just give you a quick example. I do agriculture. And before I started it, land was given to me by my late dad. And many of my relatives were telling me, you just go and dig. I said, no, but I have to do a plan. I have to do my mathematics. If I put in, say, 10 kgs of maize, what would be my output? I need to project and know what I'll pick in there. Then the seasonality, you need to understand. That comes from the expert. So I had to get an agronomist. I had to test the soil. Like I said, you can't be a jack of all trades. So you need to kick in the right guys to advise you, go about that business. And of course, for all businesses, you will not know everything. Then you need partners. So I had to partner with the guys who are giving me the fertilizers, the guys who are giving me the inputs, the seeds. And at the end of the day, I do an evaluation. Did I do the right plan? But of course, it is very important to do a plan, because without a plan, you are planning to fail, or you're just gambling, or you're doing a hobby, or actually you're doing nothing. So that is very important. You need to have a plan, and you need to follow the plan. And basis the plan, you'll be able to evaluate yourself at the end of the day. So that's about starting a business. The opportunities are quite enormous. But again, like I said, it's about your passion. Then you identify the problem and craft the solution. That way, the business will be good for you, and you'll enjoy, and you'll actually get some benefits, some value from that business.
I can't agree more with you on the issue of passion, Michael. It's very important to do, especially when you're starting up. When you push with your passion out, then money becomes secondary. Once you push your passion, and I wanted to share with you a little bit about where I'm going at the African Institute for Investigative Journalism, perhaps before I can come back to CK and Christine. So beginning of this month, next month, August, I'm going to be at the African Institute for Investigative Journalism and do some research there. But it all started with, what am I passionate about? And it becomes easier for you to share that plan when you're passionate about it. True. Then someone can be able to actually buy into it. And Michael, I'm sure you've read a book, The Law of Attraction.
Yeah, The Secret.
Yeah, The Secret, yeah. It sort of guides us that when we have a dream and a passion and a plan for it, everything in the universe comes together to support that dream, isn't it?
Actually, you attract what you intend to have. If you intend to have success, then you'll attract success. If you intend to fail, then you'll attract failure. So with passion, you actually don't have space for failure. You believe that even when you have failed, you have succeeded by picking learning points.
That's a very, very important point. Say it again, Michael.
Even when you have failed, you've actually succeeded in learning. So you've taken the lessons, and next time, you'll not repeat those mistakes.
All right, let me bring in CK here. CK, writing down your idea and breaking it down to the tiniest detail is what Michael was trying to overemphasize. Your thoughts around that, and where do you go after you've written down your dream and you've had the passion? What next? What happens there? I wanted us to take our viewers and the people on the call through the different steps of actually starting up this business, even without, first of all, money. CK.
Yes, Solomon, thank you very much for that question. And I was listening to you passionately explain the risk you're taking, running away from comfort to come into our world. And I think I congratulate you, first of all, for taking that risk. It's not a very easy one. I know, because I took it myself. I left a excellent job in Umeme to come and start the Innovation Village. And I think many of us should take that step, especially to support, the young people and build our country from the passion that we have. Solomon, before I speak to those steps, it's hard as a young person calling in from Luero, calling in from Masaka, from Ntungamo, to connect with a lot of what we are saying of an idea and everything and the various stages. And I say it's hard because for me, I was that young person, and I graduated from university, no jobs, no opportunities, no money, nothing about where to start, and it's a really difficult one, and it's even more difficult now, during things like COVID, under lockdown. So I think for me, putting myself in that young person's shoes, and for me, being also an entrepreneur and starting a business, I like to say, Solomon, that after God, I fear startups or starting a business. It's hard, it's hard. When you have the money, it's hard, and even when you don't have the money, it's even harder. So money itself doesn't guarantee that you're going to be successful. That now you have money, it's not a guarantee that it's going to be successful. And one of the things that starting a business or entrepreneurship has taught me, as I like to call it, is just spiritualism, and being able to believe in yourself, believe in God, believe in potential, believe that you yourself have something you can contribute to life and to the world. It reminds me of Exodus 4, when Musa went to spoke to God, and God told him, "What do you have? What do you have in your hands?" And he had a stick. He said, "Throw it on the ground." And he threw the stick on the ground, and that stick turned into a snake. Moses started to run away from the stick, So sometimes you have ideas like the, initiative you're going to lead, Solomon, but it can be too big for you, and you'll want to run away from it. But that you need that grace and the courage to gather yourself and to say, let me go and see what I can contribute. And I believe that the God who brought me this far is not going to let me fail. So for a young person with an idea, it's important to start with what you have, however small or insignificant or unimportant it looks. What do you have? What can you do? What are you passionate about? What can you put your mind too. But if you say, no, you people don't understand, and you're right, we don't understand about not having money. You need money to start a business. Now, if you don't have, we're already in the position where you don't have. So you must find a way of, still starting. So I think for me, one thing that has worked also in my own life, getting here to trying to build a business that's employing over 100 young people, you now need to go back to what skill do you have? Because a business in this day and age is not only that I am trading, I have this, I am doing this. It's also what service can you offer? So Christine started a cleaning service. You don't need any money to start a cleaning service, So what service can you offer? Your service can also become the business that you end up building. We have people that can offer services in graphics design. We have services like cleaning services. We have various services. So now, if you don't have the money, fall back to what can I do in terms of a skill that I have and that I can contribute. So that service, if you do it diligently and begin to be the best person in your industry doing it, that's how you begin to grow and you turn that service into a business. That service you can offer could be anything that you can do. So you have to go back and look inwards internally. And then someone will say, but I don't have a skill. And then I'd still go back to that same person and say, learn a practical skill set. Like I said, even at the village, now we have centers in Gulu, in Jinja, in Barara, in Bukolobi, and we work with 1,000 young people every day. Dedicate yourself to learning something new, learning something that is demanded in the world today, such that you can now begin to build a skill, which skill will help you to offer a service, which service will turn into your business. It's time for us to look at, as young people, at all the challenges our country is facing, and ask ourselves that great question of, what can I do for my country? How can I give back? Versus the popular government etuyambe mentality and attitude that we have as young people. And for me, it's easy to look at me now and say what we've been able to build at the village, but I was that young person in Luero who had nothing but was dedicated to contributing to growing my country. I'd just like to stop here for a moment, Solomon.
Well, Sike, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's interesting how Michael, Sike brings in, another bit to it. What skill do you have? Can you use what you have, first of all? But let's listen in from Christine. Christine, come through, please. Share with us your story. You started a cleaning company. Talk to us more about how did you start and what encouragement do you give to young people out there? Christine.
Yeah, so I started my business with just data and support from my social media followers. And by then, I really didn't know if it would work out, but it was my passion to start up something for myself. So I shared the idea I had with my social media people, and I got my first 2 clients from Twitter, and I worked with them, and they paid, one paid 40,000, another one paid 30,000. And that's the money I made in 2 days before I actually invested anything in my business. So I really started by just a post, and it is now a business, and I've been working for 2 years, and it's really difficult to have a startup. Starting up businesses is really difficult. So for it to have made 2 years now, and it started with non-financial things, it really makes me think that anyone can start it. And I've talked to a few of my friends, about 3, and they've started the same business and other different businesses, and they've all been non-financial, because for some certain service provision, or maybe delivering things, you can always get things on credit. Because I run a small business for Irish and it started on credit, you can always get a supplier and they give you things, you sell them and give them their money and keep the profit. So when the profit has accumulated, then you can now start paying maybe advance payment to the suppliers. So there are very many things you can really do. You just have to find someone you can trust. And I had my colleague before saying things like, I'm sure so many people have laptops, they've finished campus, but they're sitting at home with their laptops. They can't be innovative with them. Yet there's a lot they could learn. You can learn something online because we're using this same data to make fun on the social medias, to watch videos. This is data you can actually use to learn something. Very many people are earning so big from doing these artworks, those making banners, making soft copies for companies. They're writing proposals for people. There's a lot you can really do with just a laptop and data. And data is really something you're going to use either way, even when you're not earning. So I believe if people can invest it well, they can make money out of it.
Can I just ask that, where did you draw your inspiration while you're starting this? And what was your journey like? You know, where did it start? You're talking to over 150 young people on the call. Where did it all start?
Okay, so the cleaning business that I started when I was in my second year at Makerere University Business School. And that was after I had actually stopped working in the formal sector. I was working at a reception of a music school. And that's a job I'd started doing in my senior 4 VAC. So it pushed me from senior 4 up to second year. And then I picked up the cleaning business. It's just something that I decided to try out, and I'm so glad it worked. I know there are very many people that try out certain businesses, and because they're not passionate about it, they don't push it that well, and it fails along the way. So if there's any advice I can give people, especially to do with startups, is patience. There are months where things are not going to work out. There are months where you're not going to make as much money, but today you really have to push on, and because it's your thing and you're building it. So I believe for anyone to have a startup, they need to be passionate about it so that they don't give up on it in the bad days. And I also think people need to pick advice from the right people, because there are so many people out there that have failed to maybe push their businesses, to grow their businesses. And when you go to them, they're going to advise you not to pursue what you're doing. So I believe the best advice I can give people is to actually seek for advice from people who are making it, and people who have succeeded in those businesses, because not everyone can succeed in a certain business. There are particular people, maybe, I believe if anyone can train themselves to be an entrepreneur, but what you do, for example, I can't build websites. I'm not really into software. I'm not into computer tech, but I know there are some people that are passionate about it, but they are seated home with a computer and applying for jobs in already made companies, yet they can start up something. I have a young brother that has taught himself how to do web designing. And I see so many people that have done it as a course, and they are home seated waiting for, yet they could just design next client. Your first job can be pro bono. You never really know where it's going to take you in the next few months. So your first job can be pro bono, and you tell that person, if you do a really good job, you can always tell them to refer you to someone. People don't really mind if you did a good job for them. They will definitely share your contact. So I believe the right advice, the right attitude, doing something you're passionate about can really push you to the next level.
Wow. Christine, thank you for sharing that. Michael, talk to us about partnerships.
Solomon, I think partnerships are the money we don't have to start businesses, especially also in our emerging markets in Africa and in Uganda. So it is also believed that anything you need is almost 3 introductions away from you, in terms of a person that you need to be speaking to, and you need to connect with. So for a young person who's looking to become that next Beta Ture alone, I think it is important for you to begin to recognize the role a partner can play in your own journey. And I'll tell you quickly, Solomon, from my own experience, what partnerships and friends have done for me to be able to move to the next level. I remember when I was out of a job and I was looking for where I could go next, I called out a friend of mine who is, I didn't know he was doing this, but my brother advised me and said, there's this friend of yours called Michael. Some of you may know him. He's doing this work in this consultancy. Maybe you can learn from him. So call him up. So I called up Michael to see where he was and what he was doing. And it so happened that Michael was working with a certain gentleman that I've been trying to look for a period of 8 months. So let's imagine I was looking for Solomon, and I thought Solomon is going to be my escape from poverty and unemployment. And the person I needed to call was Michael, who was my classmate for over 10 years. So I call up Michael and I say, I'm looking to speak to Solomon. And then he says, but Solomon is my boss, you know? And for me, that's how I got my real first job that helped me begin my growth journey. So I look at a partner as someone who brings on board what you don't have. In this case, it could be the capital. In this case, it could be the access to partners or access to other resources or other skills you need to be able to build a successful business. For me, long story short, my partnership with Michael has extended because we worked together at that organization for a year. And then I managed to move on to Umeme. And when Umeme was looking for people to bring on board, Michael joined me. He left and went to to work for a bank. But even now, this partnership has gone for a period of over 20 years. So there's no shortcut to partnerships. And it reminds me of the concept I shared earlier about OPM. OPM for me means other people's marketing. So you may not be good at marketing, so you need to get a partner who can support your marketing aspirations. You may not be OPM other people's money, the person might have access to capital that you don't have, other people's marketing, other people's management abilities. So for those of us who do not have capital, we need to see partnerships as the new form of capital that you will need to build onto those synergies to be able to take your idea to the next level. And I think that's where they say 1 + 1 when you partner is not 2, it's actually 11. So Solomon, we welcome you into the Innovation Village as an entrepreneur to explore what partnerships we can also do together.
Absolutely. Sike, can you talk to me about, the market, the online spaces, and how they have changed, the whole marketing dynamics? I mean, we've seen Jumia going big. We're seeing everyone coming up with ideas that can be used online to tap into the market spaces.
To answer that, I'll probably explain a lot of the work that we do at the Innovation Village, because and why we decided to set up the Innovation Village and who we're looking for in a young person to be able to partner with. I think for me, my initial inspiration is that, we all know how entrepreneurial we are as a country, Uganda. We have entrepreneurs who, start businesses, but they die in their, first year of operation. And as that is happening, we also read and learn about entrepreneurs in other countries, like Nigeria, Kenya and in Cape Town, who are building and succeeding every day in starting their businesses. And I've always said that for every entrepreneur in Kenya who's doing well, I can show you a similar entrepreneur in Uganda who's also capable of doing even better. But there are a couple of fundamental things that are not in place, for us to be able to tap into these opportunities. So, for example, things like access to capital, access to business development, access to market. The policy environment is also still, a significant challenge. We also have access to tools, tools, especially through our creative space called Motive. And here we've worked with young people to help them get access to tools, especially in the informal sector. Now, these sectors include young people doing things with wood, with metal, with fabric, in film, media, entertainment, and also artists. So access to tools is an important element that an entrepreneur needs. And then, of course, access to markets that we can introduce young people to. And then also business, the policy environment, which is why right now we are pursuing what is known as the Startup Act, where we hope to create, an enabling environment for startups and entrepreneurs to build their companies. So Solomon, speaking to opportunities, the one thing that for me, I didn't anticipate would be a big challenge is, the quality of entrepreneur. We need entrepreneurs to also go out and solve real, tangible problems that we face as communities, as businesses, as industries. We have a tendency of entrepreneurs, copying each other. You start a restaurant and someone else starts the restaurant right next to you the very next day. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to me, I think for me, the trick is that you should ask yourself, how big is the problem I'm solving? And if it is not a serious problem being faced for millions of people, then you don't have a serious offering that makes you investable, that also makes you marketable. So we need to, as entrepreneurs, like they say, fall in love with the problem that is affecting millions of people and be the best person with a solution. And then you'll be able to attract these opportunities for you. And that's the work that we do. And I'm happy to connect with any young person on call who's looking to solve problems, big problems, like I like to call them. Over to you, Solomon.
Problems it is. Thank you very much, CK, for sharing. I thought that we could now have you talk back, the people on the call, the young people who are listening into this call. Let me start with Mukalu Mohammed, who has his hand up. Mukalu, what's your comment and your question?
Okay, thank you so much. This is Mukal Mohammed from Uganda. I'm a youth leader. I work with young people and an organization called Plus 256 Youth Platform, and I represent Omuntu Wawans. My question is in the area of partnership, because panelists have been talking about partnering with others. And my question is, how do we build a credible force of young people to be effective partners amidst the challenge they are going through? They didn't go to school, they don't know how to write, and the business of partnership comes with a number of conditions that to be a partner, you need to know like MOU, you need to know speaking English. But I'm looking at that teenage mother who have been told like you're a failure, you never do it. How do we build that energy for those young people to know like they can make effective partners with other development partners like Centenary Bank and any other? Thank you so much, Mukal Mohammed.
Mukal Mohammed, thank you very much for that question. I think that's an issue that Michael will take up, and he has noted it rightly so. Zora Amoti, you are next. I see your hand up. Please come in.
This is Zora Amoti. I'm a youth in Nakawa. I do work in a local market, that's Nakawa market. My issue is, with all these convos that we usually get, most of us, the youth who work in markets, we work 365 days. That's a full calendar. We work a full year, and hardly, because you reach in the market at 7 in the morning and we leave late in the night. So we hardly get convos with you people, mainly the financial institutions. They hardly come reach out to us. And people like CK Jape, the one of Innovation Village, I was hoping if at all there was a way you could connect with us. There's a way that you could come in then, because we do spend most of our lives in the market and we hardly have time to come out to those places to discover more things that we can do, because I don't think all our talents are to work in the market. Basically, there are other problems that you can solve. So we just end up, as he had said earlier, that we just end up copying other people's businesses, because you find out most of us are doing the same business in the market, and at the end of the day, we are not solving any problem because we're just looking for the paper. And arguably, I think as we are youth and at our age, we should be looking at spaces of helping our communities for the better rather than copying, doing the same businesses. So my issue is there any way, any programs that can come up to elevate our lives or enrich us with knowledge on how to come up with those real solutions to the environment? Thank you.
Zora Moti, thank you. Listen, as you know, CK has noted that down. I think he's going to be speaking to that. But one of the innovative ways you can, solve the big problems that CK is talking about is how about you teamed up with software developers and you developed an app market, an application that, is for the people living around your community to actually go on that application and make orders for groceries or food. Everything is everything is here. So if you came up with an application, for example, and get people enrolled on it, people who live around Nakawa or the greater Nakawa can be able to use that application and actually make orders, and perhaps you partner with border people who are always around the market and enroll them into that, and and then you can add value to what you're doing perhaps in the market. But anyway, just a tip off to you, Zora. All right, Kathy, I see your hand up. Kathy Empress, come in, please.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity. It's really a very good opportunity. I wanted to ask, some of us, the youth, we have started the small businesses, but we have challenges like, you have school to keep up with, because of course you can't leave, school and focus on the business. You have, you have to balance both of them, and we have challenges in that. But I wanted to ask, what Christine talked about. She just started her business, and it started online, but sometimes it's hard to keep up. It's hard to, get maybe the followers. It's hard to get to market online. That's a hard thing for some of us. So you do your things, you try to look for people, because right now, as we are in the lockdown, the only way to go is, you go online, because even school is online, everything is online. But it's now hard because sometimes you find that you can't get the finances. Maybe if you're supposed to do delivery, maybe if you're supposed to do, you're supposed to work while cars are not moving. You can't trust the border guys, because sometimes they can tend to steal your things. So I wanted to, ask for some advice, like how can we go about that? How can we balance school? How can you balance school and the business that you're doing? How can you, go about something like that? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy Empress. I think Christine will have to speak to that, and I'm sure Christine has written that down. Let me go to Falcon Cleaning. I think you have your hand up. After that, I'll have Alvin Leju. You're welcome, Falcon.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I want to ask a question to Mr. CK. Mr. CK, how much is an app? And could you please share your contacts in case like someone would want to get to make an app? And also, Mr. Solomon, I would like to know, how can someone really run a business alongside school, education, or a full-time job which provides some hustling money? Because some youth may be working, but they want to set up a side business. yet they don't want to leave their jobs.
Okay.
Another question goes to Mr. Solomon. Mr. Solomon, don't you think the media has played a big role in letting the youth down? Because sometimes their products aren't advertised, yet they are the ones who are supporting these media companies. For example, let me give an example of Fridays, which happen, and you think the youth are hyping the music, which is always on their TVs. But at some point, don't you think the media has let down the youth? I would think if media could get a day and say, at least today, Thursday, we are going to give every startup youth, we are going to cut the cost of advertising for their businesses. Let me say, if you have a business, it's only 50,000, and people come and advertise your startup businesses. Don't you think it could help youth really get audience there, get customers there, and improve on their businesses? Thank you, Mr. Solomon.
Wow. Quite a good one. Falcon, thank you very much. I've noted those down. One, how can young people start a business even when they're still in school? But two, most importantly, you're also asking, is in the media, letting the young people down? We'll have the last question. I'll answer that. Malcolm, you have the final say at this.
My question is about how do you monetize? If you have great problems, so how do you monetize that solution after finding the problem and you have a solution? How do you monetize it?
Great, thank you. I think CK has noted that down, and Michael. I'll come up with a question. So there's one Jonan by Nomcha who is saying, Mr. Solomon, my question goes out to Michael. What does it take for someone to acquire support from Centenary Bank financially? Do we need to come in groups or individuals? Thank you very much for that. All right, we have a couple of minutes to go. So let me ask my panelists to attend to the questions, and then I'll attend to the question last. Each of my panelists has strictly about 6 to 7 minutes. Let me start with Michael, who I'm with here. Michael.
Yeah, thank you very much, Solomon. Hoping that I am audible. And I'll speak the matter of partnerships and how Centenary Bank can come in to support the youth. We've been able to do some skilling initiatives, which of course enable the youth to pick the critical skill that can support the youth to commence business. Say in electronics, in agriculture, in tailoring. Several partners like PSFU, we work with the UCIA and all the others. Then we've also been able to arrange exposure visits for some youth. It's only that we have COVID around, but last year we sent some people to India, supported by the Indian government, to seek exposure in electronics. We've also been able to do a lot of policy. We've been able to do expert opinions, professional advice. We also do quite a bit around mentoring through the networks that we create. And as you come into Centenary Bank, we're able to put you on a platform or a network of all the other youth, whereby you can be able to share your ideas, pick a mind on a few issues that are value adding to your business. So through those networks, you're able to grow that business. So I thought to touch on, because it is non-financial, given the theme for this webinar. I think in the interest of time, those are the few things. But again, I would encourage the youth to approach our branches, to open up the accounts. Upon appraisal of their projects, we can be able to support them because we have the funds. We're actually looking for bankable projects that we can finance. And we are interested in seeing that the businesses are scaled up rather than failing. Okay. So we shall not give you money to fail. We shall only give you money to succeed. And it starts there. Yeah. All right, CK, come in. Your answers to some of the questions that have been raised to you.
Thank you very much for those questions. I like Amoti's question passionately, Solomon, and I'll tell you why. It reminds me of a young person that I spoke to who was making over 40 million shillings quarterly. from agriculture, but he was still looking for a job, you know, and yet he's making money, serious money, but he's still looking for a job. And when I heard Amoti speaking passionately, a quote came to me that says, you know, the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where it is watered. So I'd like to, you know, encourage you, Amoti, to water the grass where you are. If you're in the market, that is your Exodus 4, that is your Matthew 7. That's the opportunity you have now. I guarantee you that people like us, people like the bank, people like many other people are looking for you for where you are because of the value you're creating. If you create value in the market, if you solve problems in the market, then Centenary Bank will look for you to say, how can we help you to do this even more? I think the problem is most of us, we be in one place and we think things are better the other side. That's why Solomon quit his job, because he thinks it's better this side. But it's not always the truth. You need to work and succeed where you are and create that value. I also want to note that we have built a platform that is called VFN, Virtual Factory Network .Africa. So it's VFN.Africa, where you don't have to be within our places. We can find you where you are. So if you can go to VFN.Africa and you upload yourself and your business, we'll be able to find you where you are and to understand how to work with you. I think Falcon asked about how much an app is. I think we can have that conversation offline. My email is ck@idea.ug, ck@idea.ug. Let's discuss that further. And then finally, Malcolm on monetization. I think monetization is one of the hardest parts of having an idea. And I'll tell you why. Because most of us come up with a problem today and think we're going to monetize it tomorrow. So for you to monetize, you need to make sure that the problem your idea is solving is speaking to many people in the market. So monetization comes from you solving well for the market. As long as you have market, and that comes from you achieving what we call product market fit, then you will monetize your idea. So focus on value, focus on solving problems for people. Thank you very much, Solomon.
Thank you, CK. Let me bring in Christine here. Christine, your thoughts on some of the issues that have been raised over to you.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
To me were that and business, and also how you can get an online presence. She mentioned that marketing online was a challenge. She also mentioned about borders stealing the things that they send to clients. So the balancing with school with work is kind of really difficult, but I was fortunate to be in a school that had an evening program. So I get a chance to work during the day from morning up to 5, and then 5, I can prepare to go to school. And then from 5:30 to 9:30, I'm in class. So for people who have started businesses, maybe before campus or want to start a business, you might need to look out for universities that have a flexible schedule, not a university that is going to have you in class for a very long time. So Makerere University Business School is one of the campuses because they offer us an evening program and they also have weekend programs. So if you're really passionate about your work, which you should be, you can consider doing an evening program or you can consider doing a weekend program. There are some campuses that have you study the whole of Saturday and some hours on Sunday, because at the end of the day, we are studying to work. So if you can do both of them at the same time and save yourself the burden of having to create a job or look for a job after campus and probably never find one for the next 2-3 years, it's better if you can balance the two. It's really difficult, but it's doable. And then the online presence is, it's quite tricky. I believe some people are gifted and they find their way easy to use social media. And for other people, it's difficult. But I believe you can get friends who already have quite a following They can give you shout outs. You can use, you can always tag your business under tweets and posts on Facebook or on Instagram, posts that are doing well. People will identify your business. They will see it. You can always just drop links, tell your friends to share your links. You never know who is going to see it. So that is something that will help you. And then on delivery, people stealing your products, it happens because I sell Irish, and I know for a fact that these people sometimes speak some of the Irish, and we're not strangers to this. We see it on social media. We see people taking pictures of Boda Boda guys speaking some rice during the journey to the delivery. And it's not exactly something you can stop, but you can stick to one Boda Boda person and pay them well, because some of these people actually steal because the people they're working for are really paying them badly. So just get one person, pay them well, someone you can trust, and use them all the time to deliver your goods. Yeah, there's a possibility that at least they'll be loyal for some time instead of changing people every single time. So I think that can solve the Boda Boda theft, but you can't stop delivery because of theft. Because either way, you're going to need these people to deliver for you, especially right now in a pandemic. So you just have to look for someone that will be loyal to you. That's all I had to submit.
Okay, Christine, thank you very much for your submissions. I think I'll have the final say at this, because there's some questions that were raised to me. One was, is the media being unfair to young people? And, you know, because we have music shows that are on all our different airwaves, why don't we get a day and just call young people with startups to come and, you know, talk about their products? I think that's a very good thought that you've just brought in. NBS was having an idea of coming up with a day called, you know, NBS Tunda, where they just come out and give you an opportunity to come and market your product at a very you know, very moderate prices. They give you like 10 minutes to put your business out there to people and, you know, market your product. I think it's a product they're working on, and very soon they'll come up with it. I think that there should be a deliberate effort from different media houses to support startups and SMEs that are coming through, because anyway, they anchor the economy. So that's a very big issue that you mentioned. The second question you asked is, what kind of business can someone start if he's having a job and can be a side hustle? I mean, simple businesses like getting a Rolex store, you know. I keep telling people that that's my side hustle, beyond just the suits. You know, I have Rolex stores. You know, people who make chapati, you start up with about 200,000, 100,000, you know, just get a sigiri and, you know, buy a few products here and there and start, and the business is sustainable. Every single day, the guy sends me 10,000 shillings. And, you know, then get another branch, then get another branch. In a way, you are empowering and employing other young people in the village, but at the same time, you're still working, right? So there are those businesses that are flexible, that you can still run with your main hustle, and they can be your side hustles. Where I am right now is, you know, I need to also emphasize that, you know, I was working at the institute as a side hustle, and my main hustle was NBS. But I also realized that it's important for me to give, you know, the institute time for the institute to grow. This goes to emphasize that you need to be involved in your business. And CK was saying it's a hard decision to take, to leave a job and then go into a startup or go into an institution to grow it. It doesn't get easier, but when you give your business time, I think Christine too can attest to it. Michael is still having side hustles. Centenary Bank and Bakri's side hustles, perhaps he knows how he manages his time. But ultimately, for very many businesses, you have to, you know, make your side hustle, your main hustle, for your main hustle to actually grow. So it's important that young people on the call who have side hustles, you may have to make a very, you know, hard decision for you to actually invest your time and energies into your side hustle for it to turn into your main hustle. Thank you very much. I see so many hands up. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you very much for everyone who has been on this call. A special thank you to Centenary Bank for having organized this platform to reach out to young people. Thank you very much, Centenary Bank, for loving young people, I should say. And I know that there are so many financial opportunities that are there for young people to tap into at Centenary Bank. And so, I mean, we are super excited. And thank you, everyone who has been on the call today. Especially thank you to CK and Christine for being very, very wonderful panelists for this conversation. My name is Solomon Serwanja. You can reach me up on Twitter, on my Twitter handle. You can DM me. You can follow me up. I'll follow you back. You can also continue the conversation on Twitter for Centenary Bank. That's at Centenary Bank. The hashtag is Center Thoughts. We'll be able to answer some of your questions online. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day. And keep grinding, keep hustling. You know, it's time for us to hustle. And the world is for those that are able to adapt. So adapt and survive. Good morning.